Welcome back, everybody, to another Purpose Served podcast episode. It's been a while. I'm your legendary host, Darren Wingfield. Um, this podcast episode is going to be dedicated to kids that's in situations where they don't have the right guidance system. Having the right guidance system is important to your growth and development and who you're going to be when it's all said and done in society. And with that being said, teachers have a huge responsibility. Parents got the biggest responsibility. And other people that's watching other children grow up got that same responsibility to look over them because they're the future. And it's looking like that's not being held in any regard right now. Last week, I got into a crazy situation with my right-hand man. Shout out to my boy Steve, the one I'm always mentioning, who made the logo. We went out and we was going out for his birthday. We went out to see an interactive, like an interactive art museum. Really nice. It was called Otherworld. But the Otherworld, just to describe this place to you guys, this place had a bunch of different rooms made by different artists, and all of these rooms connect with like secret corridors and secret doors and all of this craziness. It was pretty cool. If you like interested in art and you're an artist, check out Otherworld. Free promo. They are not sponsoring this podcast. But we out Otherworld at this point 10:30. Go out to the club, which at this point, funny enough, I'm closing in on 30. That part of my life is done. That's still fairly young, but we're going to be getting into that, I guess, later on. But just to keep this story going, end up having a good time or whatever. And shout out to my boy Steve. He just had two beautiful twins. But had an awesome time. And we ended up getting back to my boy crib, and we sitting in front of his house like talking in like this visitors parking lot area. At this point, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. So at this point, I think we was listening to the song Red Leather. Yeah, with J. Cole and Future. Fire. We probably played that song back like 15 times, to be quite honest. He just kept running it back. And while all of this was going on, my spider senses started tingling. Something wasn't right in the air. It was not right. It's 3 o'clock in the morning and it's active outside. It's kind of active. And this is a really nice neighborhood, a gated community at that. And 3 dudes end up walking past my car. And every last one of them is wearing black, and every last one of them got their hoodie on. And it just so happened that the car that we're parked next to is my boy Carl Woo, who's currently sleeping in the crib right now while we out in the car. So these dudes walk by, and they walk by rather quickly. One dude comes by in the front of my car, and mind you, Steve like had his hand on the door, so the 2 center console lights is on. This guy comes up and goes straight in my boy Woo car. Ski mask on, fanny pack on, the whole 9. Wearing all black. He opens the door and he goes in the car. Some dude's doing a light jog, and once he see that he got the door open, he starts running up to the car. So a lot is starting to go down in real time at 3 o'clock in the morning. But ultimately, I started the car, right? Because I was telling my boy Steve to chill because he was about to open up the car and check the dudes because they obviously don't know that we're right here. For some odd reason, they did not see us, which to me is still odd. It's the grace of God. But I was like, chill. I started the car and I slowly started the reverse out the parking spot, and that alerted the dude, and he stopped. He got out the car and he like closed the door, like chilling, trying to be like smooth about it, right? So I pull out the parking spot, and as soon as I get out the parking spot, I just started honking my horn. I honked my horn like 4 or 5 times, and the two dudes started booking it. And then after that, I drove off. So now there's a cat and mouse game that's about to get started. As I'm driving, I'm approaching a stop sign. There's a Jeep that made a left turn, headed towards me, and one of the headlights is out. And I'm getting to a cat and mouse with this Jeep. But this little drive was like low key like 2 to 3 minutes of driving around in this development, eventually seeing these dudes like running in dudes' cars and people's cars in the middle of the night. And ultimately, I'm unsure if these guys got caught yet, but they didn't take anything out of my boy's car, and nobody was harmed in the process. You know what I'm saying? But that was a crazy situation in real time. And all the decisions that I made that day was going to lead to that moment no matter what. And I don't know why I was outside around that time of night. And I had eerie vibes about that day, kind of that whole day. And me and my boy talked about that. And we had a real conversation about that, just to be real transparent with you guys. And one of the things that he said is, he felt as though, like, you know what I mean, that day was going to be it for him on his birthday. And me and my boy Steve, we went through a lot of real situations together. Situations that's very similar to that. But those kids, they looked like they were kids. They looked like they was young. Like, you know, I wouldn't want to say teenager, but I wouldn't be surprised if some of them were teenagers. And it had to be a group of like 8 of them. And when you're out in the middle of the night and you looking for trouble, because at one point in my life I was that person out in the middle of the night, you know, trying to find some sort of trouble to get into. And I found a whole lot of it. But ultimately it gets you nowhere. And ultimately I have people that's close to me that when I got the best of them, and a lot of times it's out of their control because they being born into a crazy life. They're being born into a crazy family where it's 3 generations down of being stuck in a cycle. And I come from that. And I learned a lot from my parents. I learned a lot from my mom, who is now, you know, shout out to her, which I always give a shout out to her, who was also on this podcast, but she's now the chief of police, just retired from the New Jersey State Police in UMass in Massachusetts. But ultimately, I always tell her that she's an anomaly because she's not, like, statistically speaking, she's not supposed to be the person who she is today. And if this just so happened to get across any kid's ear, or they're seeing me or whatever, but you hear this and you catch this message, you can leave a crazy impact on this planet that changes this planet for the better. And a situation that I just talked about, that obviously don't sound like a situation of somebody making it better. That's a situation where somebody's creeping in the night and they're trying to take something the easy way from somebody who worked for it the hard way. Grimy. But you don't even have to be, alert in the middle of the night to see that. That's in your waking life too. A lot of people don't got no integrity. But if you that kid that's listening to this, or the young adult or whoever, you got integrity. And your integrity lies in your purpose. People like that, they checked already. They mentally checked already. They already feel as though life has no meaning but acquiring things like getting money, stealing somebody's car, like that's acquiring things. But I tell you what, I think I talked about this on a previous podcast, because now I'm about to start talking real crazy. But all of this stuff that we starting to begin to chase at a rapid rate, the Red Queen's race, shout out to the Wizard of Oz, it don't mean anything and you can't take it with you. We hear that a lot, but we don't feel that. Because if we felt that, we wouldn't be chasing after any of these things. Because it does nothing to our soul. It does nothing to our spirit. Now, living off your purpose, that does something to your soul and spirit. That's something that can't be measured. But people going to see it, and they going to know what it is. And if you tapped in and you locked in, people are going to see you as a beacon of light. They're going to see you as a light of authenticity, morality. Because at the end of the day, meaning in life comes from you serving life. That's provided life for you. And in certain environments, like I grew up in Newark, I tell y'all all the time, like the last previous podcast, like the culture shock, like you guys get you can get a overview of what my life was like. But Newark is a place where dreams die for most people. Because what they surrounded by, what they live in, and what they see every single day. And after a while being exposed to something for so long, you're like, yo, what's the point? This is it. Not knowing that it's a whole world outside of this little bubble that you grew up in. This bubble ain't everything. But I come from a place where people only know they block, like, for real. And they live and die for they block, like, it's crazy. I lost family behind it. So a lot of stuff for people like on the outside looking in, it's just like, yeah, it don't make no sense and then but it's like it's real pain behind these things that people are not trying to unpack, and kids are being like born into these worlds, and the problems are being dumped on them, and they're forced to grow up fast. They don't even like get a chance. They don't even get an opportunity to navigate and work with their potential in like a harmonic way. This talk would be foreign to them. They wouldn't even know where to start. And that's a problem in itself. Because they can't even get that at school. Being forced to learn things a certain way. Conform in a certain way. When life shows us that there's a lot of diversity out here. And you can get to one answer a lot of different ways, depending on what approach you're taking. And opportunities are different. Not everybody is created equal. And there's a difference between Malibu, California, and Newark, New Jersey. I tell you that. People living two completely different lives and living in two completely different worlds. but it's way more people at the bottom than the top. And I think that right now they the ones, they're the voice. Think about it. Real talk. Why y'all think that reaction videos are starting to like blow up? Right? That's crazy. Reaction videos. And the people in the comment section that like that's what we watch videos for. What are people saying in the comments? Because the public opinion matter. Like, you know what I mean? You watch a video and wait for a certain part to come that it's like, yo, yeah, this is the part where it got me. I know it's about to get them. The eyes and the ears matter. The eyes and the ears matter to the face. And kids get overlooked over time. A lot of kids don't get nurtured. They ain't getting hugged by their moms. They ain't getting picked up. Or some of them getting coddled too much. Ain't ready to like take on the real world. But when it's all said and done, there's something I preach all the time. We got one entry point and one exit point, and that goes for us all. That ain't change for anybody. That ain't gonna change for us. And our purpose and our meaning, like, it calls to us constantly. And, you feel that pull towards something, like certain things that, like, you're passionate about. And at the end of the day, it don't matter what anybody say due to the fact of those two entry points. They really don't matter. And if I did listen to all the naysayers out there, y'all wouldn't be hearing my voice right now. Real talk. I would have stopped like somewhere at like 16, 17 years old. Me walking in the snow my sophomore year from getting cut. And like, yo, I'm about to quit playing basketball. It's over. Nobody believed in me. But I had a dog mindset. I still got that same dog mindset based off of what I went through. Like I still carry that to this day. But it's different now. I learned how to pay it forward. Like right now, I'm coaching kids like as we speak. Right? And this one is a rather smaller group than the ones I was like previously coaching, which is like 40 kids. But this one is like a small group of like 6-7 kids. And majority of them, I worked with them already in the previous program that I was doing. But a lot of these like kids, they don't realize what they are able to do until they start doing it. You got to expose them to their fears a little bit and guide them through. Like some of the kids are afraid of contact, afraid of dribbling any ball. And as soon as they feel the defender on them, they start to retreat, back away from them, dribbling with their head down instead of dribbling with their eyes up, looking at the basket. And I'm really big, even with World of Purpose, basketball, everything all across the board. It's all about attention to detail when it comes to me. And that's primarily what Purpose Service is about, focus. Focus and discipline. That's the best way to get meaning out of life. You got to be as disciplined as you know that sun is going to rise, and when July come around, it's going to be summer. And when December hit, it's going to be winter. Like, being able to rely on your skills that much, like, that's how hard I train with basketball, and that's how hard I focus. Like, I'm talking about 6-hour, like, training days, 6 days a week. For a couple of years. And this did something to me. Because during this whole entire process, a huge part of the journey was me proving myself to people. And trying to prove people wrong. But really, I was trying to prove myself wrong. And then really, I came to the conclusion that I was not really the things that I thought I was doing it for, like my family, my friends and all of these other things, it wasn't really for that. It really wasn't for those reasons. And it took me being real and honest with myself to come to that conclusion. And then I gave up playing basketball. Just to find myself right back in it. Training. And I started this podcast in 2020. So you guys can hear, if if you like listening to my voice, you can hear the journey of me playing for the Delaware Snipers, me losing in a 1-on-1 and the gauntlet, me playing in men's leagues, still playing basketball, still on that mission. But then, and around 2022, I gave it up. And I completely accepted the higher calling, which is to serve others, whatever form that takes, the best way I can, if it's my job to do so. I feel as though that's my true calling. And I'm still exploring that as we speak. And it feels like doing all of this in Purpose Serve, this is my lifelong work. And it felt like that back in 2020. And treat this with great care. Because playing basketball, I was kind of reckless. And I took a lot of risks. And it worked out in my favor. But little did I know, all the lessons that I was learning along the way, I was going to eventually be teaching them to kids that's going to be walking along the same paths. But now I can add a twist to it. I can teach them life lessons through basketball. Whoa. Whoa. That's what life teaches. That's what all walks of life teaches. And everybody serves a purpose. And I had a lot of teachers growing up that absolutely hated me because I was a terror. I was a terror. I was dead serious. I got suspended K through 12. Hands down. All the way through and through. I stayed in trouble. And the younger Daryl goes from 12 to K, the worse he get. And I had a lot of teachers that told me and told my mom that I was going to be a menace to society. And I need to be put on medicine and Ritalin. Because I was wild and chaotic. My mom lost a lot of money coming to get me from school or sitting with me all day in school. That was the only way I'd chill. Somewhat. But I always had that personality of I'm going to do what I want. And it backfired. It backfired. And I'm not going to get into that because this is not what this podcast episode is about. Being under the influence, I think it's episode 41. If you really want to hear a little background story about Daryl, check that podcast episode out specifically. My bad, I heard a car alarm go off. I'm like, whoa. We running it back? I had to go and check real quick. But I'm back. But, yeah, them teachers telling me that did something to me. And that was a consistent theme throughout me in high school. So with that being said, the people that were supposed to be guiding me and pushing me and showing me that I can do something with my life, a lot of them didn't do that. Because personally how a kid made them feel. And it takes a whole lot of maturity to get past your emotions and look at the bigger picture. And there was only a handful of teachers throughout my life that actually impacted me. Shout out to Mrs. Floyd. She was my art teacher in the 7th grade and 8th grade when I moved out to the suburbs of Delran. And there was one time in class specifically, I was acting a fool. And she pulled me out in the hallway. And she was a black teacher. And she said that you out here making yourself look like how they think y'all look and how they think y'all act. don't look like no stereotype out here. Because that's what you're looking like. And she was absolutely right. And at this time, I'm like 12 years old, 13. And I just got out of the situation at that young of an age that made my mom leave where we was at and come all the way out into East freaking Dinkadong, New Jersey, that I never heard of. And I'm having this talk with this teacher because I brought that hood mentality out there. I'll tell you that. Swear to God. And it took me a while to unlearn that. Go listen to the previous podcast episode, Culture Shock. But I had to learn a lot of these things on my own. And at the end of the day, why not make it easier for the next person? And if you find something that brings you purpose and meaning and passion, seek that thing out. And not only that, seek out people that's doing that same thing. I'm telling you, it's going to do wonders. It's going to keep you locked in. It's going to keep you disciplined. It's going to keep you focused. And it's going to keep you maximizing that thing. And it's going to bring you fulfillment. It's going to bring you those material things along the way. Basketball did that to me. And now Purpose Served is doing that for me as well. So I encourage you guys, if you paint, keep painting the best pictures that you possibly can paint. If you write music, keep writing from the bottom of your heart. If you write poems, keep writing those poems from the most vulnerable part of yourself that you possibly can, the most realist part that you possibly can, and make it beautiful. If you are an athlete, give your all to that thing that you're doing if you truly, truly love what you're doing. And it's going to reward you back. It will, if you're doing it from the right place. It takes a while. It's like watering a flower. It depends on the soil. And you have to be in the right soil in order to blossom. And if you see kids struggling, especially in something a situation that you came up out of, help that kid out or help that youngin out. Be on the lookout for the Power of the Mind's Eye series and also the World of Purpose series. The ebooks is available now. A quick read. If you want to support, and it's valuable information. And the series that I just named with those two is going to be based off of those ebooks at $4.99. You can read it in one sitting. But it's intended to keep rereading over these things because it's a lot of information compact within a short amount of pages. But I thank you guys for listening to my voice. I hope this inspired and motivated you to be the best version of yourself that you possibly can be. As long as you breathe in, that means that God is giving you life to keep pressing on and making a difference in this world the best way that you can. Push the needle. Push the needle towards unity. Push the needle towards harmony and be giving back. Let's go. Let's go.